And the goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple feelings, and boom, you got a sound.
I remember this one time, I had been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Tonight, we begin our process of sharing with you the highlights of the fire hose of content that is Musikfest. Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese.
And I am your co-host, David Moore.
And this is
your next favorite band.
And David, I have to say, I missed you the whole week of Musikfest doing the daily live streams. I had to do it often either just solo or sometimes someone was on as a guest co-host. And
I thought the guests co-host, most of them did fine. There's a few I need to talk about. We'll talk with HR about what happens with those steps. I don't know if paperwork was correctly filed or whatnot, but we'll discuss that later. This isn't an on-air discussion.
No one does it like you, so...
Oh, well, Sheena Easton agrees.
There we go. You always gotta love the deep music reference.
Bingo card point. That's
exactly right. And so we're on tonight just to pop on real quick to kind of just give everyone like a rundown of what's to come over the next couple of weeks. August is one of those months where the first half is so busy for us. Oh. The second half, we take a collective breath, but we do want to give you some content, especially for those of you that may not have been able to make it down to Musikfest or not obviously as often as we do. And so here in these 2 weeks, we just edit together the best of moments from the live stream because, again, you may not be able to catch all of them, so we might as well give you kind of the highlights, especially the live performances that happen. And then on Labor Day Monday, we're going to basically tie a bow on it all, and that'll be like our... we don't quite have an exordium label for it, but it's basically just the retrospective, the Musikfest look back.
What is the Latin word or Greek word for the end of the whole thing?
I'll find that out, but in the meantime...
Exit ordium.
Yeah, nailed it. But we with that one we kind of go day by day. We share kind of like our highlights from each day, and we do pick what we felt like was our best of the fest moments, including who we think is our next favorite band, and maybe even by then the hope would be we have a few of them booked for future interviews. Some of that's already happened actually. The fall and into the winter will just be. Everyone should subscribe now because it's going to be, if you haven't already, it's going to be a great kind of wondrous season, if you will.
I'm already impressed with some of the things that are happening, and I just looked at a spreadsheet.
Right, that's true. And when you're excited about a spreadsheet, something's wrong.
Yeah, no, I've got to re-examine my life choices at that point in time.
So we're not going to reveal anything here, no spoilers. And even to be honest, I'm still conflicted every time I look at some of the lineup or the videos that we took. I'm like, that was my favorite. Nope, wait, that was my favorite. So I still need some time to kind of marinate in all of that. But a quick rundown was we did the live stream 9 of the 10 days. We even did it on the day of the rain. So Musikfest had one day of pretty bad weather. There was even a tornado that hit not too far from the festival grounds over in Allentown. So that was the one night that got kind of interrupted by weather, but it still happened prior to and after. But that was a night I didn't make it down. I had a prior commitment, but the live stream happened. Then, because of that storm, it knocked out internet on all of Southside. So Godfrey
Correct.
Daniels basically didn't have an ability for us to put up a live stream. So I went and grabbed everything and brought it home. So Tuesday's live stream was from home. Wednesday was the one that didn't happen. My mom was in the hospital. So I was like, kind of got to go visit your mom. So went and did that.
Been that week, huh? Wasn't it?
It was a wild, wild week. And then we even had some musicians were booked to be on the show, and then in the afternoon, like we talked about, they had not only had said I'm in, but then that day said looks like we're going to make it, and then didn't. So like that stuff happens though. So we're not gonna. It has nothing to do with anything other than just travel and being part of a tour. So we're not gonna. Everyone should know that those are totally fine moments that happen.
But if it happens next time,
you get
there is
get out of jail free
trouble.
Yeah, no, and then
and then on the couch for a family meeting.
Yes, and then the second half, like after the Wednesday, everything was very smooth. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday went completely according to plan, and everything was a great weather day. And so one of the things that was announced today was Musikfest once again broke the record for attendance, and it was 1.33 million this time.
Yeah, 1.33 was the number that they are quoting.
Yeah,
which is an absolutely bananas number.
I mean, because if you think about it, again, 10 days, that's 133,000 per day on average.
Even if we're including the preview day, that's 12,500 per day.
Yeah.
I mean,
125,000.
Sorry, decimal holder. But my number is right. My comma is not. So it is an absolutely astounding number considering the size of Bethlehem, AKA
correct.
More people were here than the actual number of people that technically are in the census area of the city of Bethlehem.
Right. And it made a $75 million economic impact. You're going to hear us talk about that because tonight's highlight is, and we did this last year too, one of the interviews just stood out as really being able to kind of not wanting to be cut back at all. Last year it was Blair Crimmins and all of the hookers, and it just seemed too perfect to be able to put that one out as its own episode. Same thing here. We had time to spend with Kassie Hilgert, president and CEO of ArtsQuest, the leader of the entire the mothership here. Once again, it was actually in my home because on that last day, it's just nicer to get out of Godfrey Daniels' hair. They have a whole ton of stuff going on, so I pack everything up and bring it home. So Kassie was nice enough to come to my home here and do it at Reese Plots, and the interview just contains too much good information, her genuine responses to things, so you can just see how emotionally connected she is to the success of this festival, and then just great news about what's to come. So we just felt like when you have something like that, you don't chop it up and just for the sake of time, so you put that one out on its own. So here is our interview with Kassie Hilgert, president and CEO of ArtsQuest. Enjoy. Right off the top, we have the leader, CEO and president of ArtsQuest, Kassie Hilgert.
Appreciate that, Phil. But when you put a festival like this on, it's titles don't matter. So everybody who participates makes us all happy.
I totally get that, but still, leadership since 2014.
Correct. 2015. It was announced 2014, 2015, but I've been with ArtsQuest since 2008.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you were the senior vice president of marketing or something like that. Yeah,
and advancement. So got to really learn the organization from a grassroots level. So being able to transition when Jeff retired was not the biggest leap, and again, the leadership team that was in place was great.
It is a huge testament to yourself and to the organization that they would want to promote from within. That's phenomenal. And it was allowed a lot of perpetuation of things, but then new ideas and taking things into new places and navigating a whole lot of stuff that we'll definitely get into some of that. But first and foremost, thanks so much for taking time during what is probably the busiest week of the whole year. To spend here and even coming to my home. Thank you for coming to Reese Plots.
Well, a beautiful home, and for us, this is 11 days of Christmas, and having you all talk about this is what helps to get people down there. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, please. I mean, it's funny. Really, what I'm trying to do is spotlight the musicians who maybe no one else would know.
Correct.
And I think that's part of like the intimidation is not the right word. It's more the overwhelming nature of the festival.
Avalanche.
Of how amazing it is. But a lot of people, that's even where this all stemmed from. I tell the story a good bit on the show, but basically I was prepped and ready to go down for certain people that then friends would come with me and just follow me around. I'm like, that was so much more fun because we knew we were going to see good music. Then I was getting texts from their friends, total strangers. Hey, I hear you have a list. Who should I go down to see today? So I started to produce that. George Wacker finds out about it.
Yep.
So he has me on the live stream. Actually, it's right here that all spawned here. This was basically the first post-COVID. There's me, George, and Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Set up, like, basically it was a very cool thing that George had done. And just off of that, it just turned into being able to talk to a musician in a different way. And then George had me on for, like, some monthly content and ultimately said, hey, you can do this on your own.
I appreciate that you're doing that because the Wind Creek main stage gets all the oxygen, right? It sucks all the oxygen out of the room. But I think the magic of the festival is the free stages. When you see some of the acts that are on there that you would never see at a free festival.
Certainly not.
That's where the magic is.
Totally. And you guys do an awesome job with that too, where there's like, you try to put a few Easter eggs in there.
Yes.
Some little gifts of like, you know, let's do a stretch here and get some of these special acts. Like this particular year, Wheatus was out there and it's just like, holy smokes.
Right? Wheatus.
How is that a free show? Because they are selling out literally everywhere else they go.
Right, and Walker Hayes, who played main stage this year, was at Levitt, not Musikfest, but Levitt for a free show in 2017. That's the magic of the festival.
Totally.
Come out and see something that you may not have to pay a lot of money to see in the future.
Second oxygen is given mostly to the fest plots, the kind of, the, you might call it like the party bands, tribute acts, you know, those kinds of things, which I always find them to be exceptionally talented musicians. I'm super impressed with them. It's just not what I'm not geared up to go see 80s music, covers. I love when an artist does a cover, but I don't want to see a whole evening of covers.
Correct.
And I'm out there to try and discover bands that I've just never ever seen or heard before that just, you know, blow me away. And it's just like, wow, how did I never heard of you? You know, or whatever. And then again, like I said, the show just kind of happened by accident where I was just like, I always said, like, I bring them on just so that I can have a conversation with them. So if anybody finds any enjoyment out of it, terrific. But really, I'm just like, want to hear this backstory, want to hear the kind of music nerdy stuff of either the gear they use or how they write their songs, how they inspire to do that stuff. So
and their journey, how did they get here, and where are you going next?
Yep, and then many of them have overcome something along the way or whatever, and it's just we've had some amazing conversations, and I just feel so lucky that anybody ever says yes to anything. So,
well, thank you. This is a great show.
It's very cool. Thank you so much. I had mentioned to you before we came on, pretty much this week what I've been doing is having the guest co-host.
Right.
So we'll start with all of that, and then we'll kind of spin back to talking about your journey and your story, and then also what's in for the festival going forward. So here are the picks of the plots for Day 10.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what do we got?
I'm just a little, maybe delirious from
it's
the
day
11 days. 1500, exactly. Yep. So the pick of the day, the fave of the day, is John Worthy and the Bends.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I pointed in the opening. That's him. He's part of the opening stuff there. And in fact, I'll show it in a second, but he's our literal poster child for your next favorite band. Yeah, so this was the image we use. I captured that just by pure luck. You guys had asked John Worthy back after the Musikfest, I think it was 21.
Correct.
And so this was his Levitt performance Labor Day weekend.
Right.
And I just looked at that, I'm like, holy smokes, that's so cool. So that's why we always call him the literal poster child for your next favorite band, because that's what we use pretty much everywhere. The tile for the podcast, like that shows up in Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff. It's on the guitar pick thing that we hand out all the time. So it's and I even asked him, I was like, back then, I was like, I want to use this. You know, what do you want to do about that? He's like, it's your picture. Go ahead and use it. And I'm like, okay.
That's artists.
Awesome. Exactly. Right? Yeah, it's so cool. This was another one from that same year. This was the actual Musikfest. I just think that sums up John Worthy and Musikfest.
Yep.
So
that's perfect.
Isn't that amazing? There was no filter on that one either. Like, I know people are like, hashtag no filter. It was the great lighting, his amazing, like, just rock star presence. And then just getting lucky with capturing the moment. But let's bring in some music here. So this is some live recording that he did of his song called Help Me that I think was definitely the one that grabbed my ears first. So here's John Worthy and the Bends.
I don't know if this is true, But every time I look back on the years, I feel like I wasted my youth. How did I get so cold? How do I wind up every single day going through this life all alone? When am I gonna change? Another day, another month, another year, until I feel just the same. Oh, help me, I can't shake this feeling away. Help me,
So just, I mean, again, we always say on the show, like, we hate genre labels. Like, it's hard to put people in that kind of a box, and if you do try, some people get excited about it, other people get turned off by it, but everyone would love it if they just take a moment to listen to it. But I guess indie rock, indie pop rock, I don't know, but like, it's just great.
It's earworm to me. So
Yep.
what I love about this and what you're doing with this, the next big band, is that's the beauty when you walk around Musikfest. You hear a sound,
Yep.
and you stop and you turn. But what I love about them is the sound is one thing. It's tight. It's great. The lyrics, I don't care what age you are, you
Yep.
immediately connect to that,
Yep.
and you walk in and go, I want to hear more of that. So he is spectacular.
Yeah. But he's got such a great catalog. Like, talk about somebody who you want to go watch for 90 minutes.
Right.
John Worthy. And he's actually on twice today. One is his like full band set that would be more like, actually, I just love that part. It's a great hook. So what I wanted to bring in was I have his closing number. Just this insane guitar solo from that same year, that 2021 year. And this gives you a flavor for
I remember this.
for a John Worthy.
This went viral internally with the staff.
This again gives you the absolute verifiable proof that he's a rock star. I mean, shirt off.
It gives me goosebumps and tears because, like, I can't recreate that.
No.
That only is going to happen right there when you're watching that, and he's in the moment, and whatever's happening, that's where he is. Man, that is beautiful.
Isn't it? And like, the guitar is all duct tape all over.
Yep.
It's just pure
It's been
animal.
through the
Like,
miles,
it's just-
right?
it's so great.
That is magic to me.
That's what I mean.
He has no idea anyone's in the audience. He doesn't care.
Nope.
He is losing his proverbial expletive, and that's the magic of Musikfest. Oh man, seeing those moments is like,
Oh, exactly.
It's
And then like
everything.
I don't record everything,
ah,
and so like sometimes you just happen to have started hitting record. It's just,
Right?
like, insanely cool. And then here's kind of like the Who kind of
Yep.
closing moment, right?
gives me the
I know, and I've been
gives me the
chills.
tears and the I love that.
And this is why and that's why you got to go down and see John Worthy play.
That's why you just got to walk around and see something that you will never see before, and it's in your backyard.
Yeah.
Could that be any better?
No.
It's high quality.
Yep.
High quality.
And like,
Phil, you weren't supposed to make me get all. God Almighty.
but this
Phil.
is why we do it for
Seriously,
10 straight
Phil,
days.
Like, seriously. I gotta gather myself. All right, go ahead.
Okay,
that
keep
was
going.
beautiful.
Well, I'm super glad I brought that on. So anyway, like, there you go.
And they also love when they get here. They see Bethlehem, they see the support, they see the community come
Yep.
out. I've always said Bethlehem, to me, from a music standpoint, is a little bit like New York or Philly with sports. They're very sophisticated fans.
Yes.
In New York and
Mm-hmm.
Philly when it comes to sports. I think Bethlehem is very sophisticated when it
With
comes
music.
to music.
Absolutely.
So when you are embraced, it's because you are truly
Sure.
spectacular.
Correct. And I've heard that from musicians on there where they'll just be like, we kind of just threw Bethlehem in because we had nothing to do between whatever, might have been leaving the East Coast or
Right.
it was a Tuesday that they arrived and they were like, sure, we'll do it. And they were like, it was probably our best show of the entire run.
Yes.
And it was because we were feeding off the crowd. And I'll tell you one other thing, because you should know this. It's come up more often than once, but actually it was John Worthy. They talked about the support of like the backline staff.
Yeah.
That you have. And they were like, last night we were playing in some big venue in some other city, and the bassist was like, my pickup doesn't work.
Right.
They just kind of shrugged their shoulders and walked away. Your team said, oh, let me look at it. And they repaired it in the moment, like basically during sound check.
Staff and volunteers.
Yes.
Like the two of them together own this. So wherever the staff and volunteers are at whatever plots, they want that to be the best performance ever, and that's why they're taking time off of work or their staff, and they want this to be the best stop they've had wherever they're going.
Yeah, and it has come up more, and then people, that's what they want to come back.
Yes.
Because sometimes their tour is such that they can't fit us in because of like mileage limitations and stuff. But they'll pick Bethlehem over Philly sometimes because they're like, I want to play for that crowd again.
The crowd and the staff and just the gratitude and I think the overall vibe.
Yes.
I've talked to a lot of artists who love their set, they want to be here, and then they realize when they get here the breadth and the depth of it, and when they're done, they go put their gear in the van and they walk around.
Yep.
They go walk around and see what's going on,
Yes.
and that's where we start to build relationships, which is spectacular.
It is very, very cool.
When you have 2,000 submissions for 500 slots, you gotta make decisions.
Yeah, that's right. 457 bands this week.
Right?
I mean, wow.
Right? Free.
And all free, yep.
We have
I shouldn't say
11
all
that are
free.
paid.
Yes. The headliners each night, but the other ones.
The 457 free is spectacular.
So insane.
And it's a year-round process to be able to pick them.
Yeah, so a lot of my friends who come in from out of town, they're, for the first time, which my one buddy had on a shirt that was just said Festival Rookie.
Yeah.
It was so great. Such a great shirt. But until they get here, they don't really know or understand. They're like, so do I need a ticket? No. Okay, am I allowed to bring a bag? Well, there's no gate. I mean, like, it's just the town. And they're like,
wait, what?
Yeah, they're like,
right?
And I just get here, and then you'll see. And then pretty much anyone, obviously within the first 90 seconds, is like, this is amazing. I can't. I'm going to come back again next year. I'm sad that I only set aside one day for this.
Correct. And then you go by hour.
So
during the day, there is a very different vibe.
Oh, totally. Yep.
Than when the sun goes down and you can't find standing room
Nope.
in any of the areas.
Yep.
And when people see that for the first time, because I had friends out from New Jersey that saw it for the first time at night last night, and they could not believe the size and scope of it.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's again, I keep going back to, because I'm getting a little older, you see the inspiration that they're drawing from, and then they reinterpret it.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of rock,
totally.
of music, is that reinterpreting it now for today.
Yep.
Which is spectacular.
Totally.
And we, the whole reason we named Zins and Plots was for the daughter of the founder.
That's right.
And the point of that was to recognize the role of women in music.
Very cool.
So it's a subtle thing for our programming team.
Yeah.
Just like Plaza Tropical, the all the representation of our community that we have to make sure we have, and just naming a Plots after a woman gives us a thought of what are we putting there, when, and why.
Yeah, no,
I think she
great.
embodies that.
Oh, totally. It was a great name in and of itself, and then now to have the backstory and the theming, that's excellent.
Correct. And it was more fun than Benigna Plots.
That's very true. But let's touch on that, because it was on my notes here to talk about, but you just brought it up, so it's perfect timing. It definitely felt intentional this year to broaden the free stages.
Correct.
It seemed like there was more hip-hop, rap, Latin.
Yep.
And so certainly applaud those efforts being made, but there's still obviously so much work to do to improve the diversity of the whole thing year-round, not just even for the festival.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
We will never get there. So it's a journey, and it's, as you're seeing that representation this year, I had someone talking to me this year about Indian music. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a gap.
Yeah.
So we love to hear that. And like I said, it's a journey. We're going to keep going. But the more we can represent all the different music genres that make up the communities of Bethlehem, the more people are going to feel like I can go down there and see myself in that festival.
Yeah.
That's critical.
No, it totally is. And the headliners, have been doing that for a couple of years, or more than just a couple.
Very purposeful.
But yeah, and it absolutely should be. Like you said, it should be a reflective representation of the community. And I know that's not easy, so I just kind of wanted to applaud the efforts.
No, I appreciate that. It isn't easy, but that's where I have found the magic moments of the festival. I have sat there and just using Indian music as an example, I have watched a surfer rock, and then suddenly there's another act that has nothing to do with that genre.
Yes.
And I stay for 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Where I may not have if you would have shown me that in a program or on an app. And that's what we're trying to do by those mashups in the schedule.
But it is truly day 11.
Day 11.
because of the preview day, and we even
10.5.
Yeah, okay. I was actually calling preview night day 0.
Oh, well, we had that, that whole controversy between is it 40th or 39, so everybody was jumping on that bandwagon. When you have the first year, it's year 1.
Right.
Right? So it's the 40th edition.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't like a baby,
right.
Which the baby would be 39 today, but the festival's 40.
Right, yeah, you're not honoring the...
Correct.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I was just going with day 0, almost like how there's mile marker 0. Like
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We start here.
Right.
And then we finish at... Yeah. That's fair, Phil.
So
I like that.
I liked calling it that. You could even do T-shirts with that on there. Day 0.
Day 0.
For a preview night.
Key West might sue us, but I love the idea otherwise.
The all of Key West has sued ArtsQuest.
Yes.
But we were down there this year. It's usually that night I take it off. Like even though there's stuff going on, I'm like, well, I'm not going to go see the headliner. I'll go into bed early because I got 10 straight days of mayhem coming up. And it was AJR, and I couldn't turn down that opportunity.
Sold out.
And they were great.
It's 3 sold out shows this year, which is kind of crazy.
Yep.
AJR was spectacular. I think
really
this is the most modern Wind Creek Steel Stage lineup we've had. I think that's a reflection of the change in the industry.
Yep.
But to see the community respond to that with the ticket sales has been pretty strong. But I agree, AJR was fantastic.
Yes. You forget sometimes, since they are a radio hit.
Pop, right.
How good their songwriting is. Like, it's like really...
And the energy on stage. They were running around
so
everywhere like animals. It was fantastic. That's what you want to see in live music.
Yeah. So I'm always thrilled, like we talked about at the top. Like, I'm thrilled when sadly, when a headliner is announced and I don't want to see them. I'm usually like...
Free stage!
Woo! Like, yeah. I'm nervous. I'm not excited. Like, I'm nervous that you're going to announce somebody I won't want to miss, and I'll be like, I'm going to miss like 5 other bands tonight. So whenever there's like those announcements, I'm tuning in going, please don't let it be anybody I want to hear.
Well, Phil, the older I get, the more that happens to me. So,
so then it's like...
It's all good.
I'm always like, yes, it's this person that I have no interest in. Right. So Kassie Hilgert, now we can talk about you. Co-hosting duties are now over, and now you're guest.
I don't like this part, Phil. Let's go back to the music.
I can do that if you'd truly like to, but... No, I just think I would love to share a little bit more of your story and even just get into some of the other exciting things going on. But let's start with your story. So like we talked about a little bit already, you were already working you grew up in Allentown.
I did.
And from what I saw, you, like at 13-ish, were sneaking to Bethlehem to come to Musikfest.
Well, we thought it was a road trip.
Right.
We were in Allentown, so when this thing came about, we were like...
Some mystical land.
Who has a car? Who plays for the sports team in high school where that person has a car?
Right.
So we snuck over there, and I couldn't tell you what happened in music, but I just thought, this is the coolest thing. There was all these people. So that was pretty spectacular.
Yep. And then continue to go to it for the other years, and then start to work for the organization.
Correct. So I was that person in the Lehigh Valley when I graduated high school that wanted to put the Lehigh Valley in the rearview mirror because there was the bigger, better world out there.
It happened. I hear it more often than I would like to, but it's always like everyone comes back.
Well, what I learned was in those jobs where I was so fortunate to travel around the country, every city I went to was a city someone was trying to get away from.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
true.
then it dawned on me that if you just sit where you are and make a change, you can make a difference. So you don't have to go to New York or Philly or Houston. You can do that right here. So I was very fortunate to meet Jeff Parks when he was thinking about steel stacks and talking about this crazy idea where I literally thought he was insane. Like this will...
I mean, who wouldn't? Like
this has never happened.
Yes, but to kind of, just in case people don't know, Jeff Parks founded the organization on the theory that Bethlehem was struggling after losing the steel business. In the, call it 70s, it was going down, and finally goes defunct in 83. And everybody needed something. It needed to have something that would revitalize everything. And you have what's the equivalent of a giant junk pile and Superfund site. And we turned it into a phoenix. Like, we turned it into an arts and cultural organization.
What I loved about the story was that one of the reasons why Jeff proposed Musikfest was that we already had a vibrant music scene.
Yes.
We weren't making it.
Yeah.
Godfrey Daniels was there. Bach Choir was there.
Yep.
There were elements. We had the German Moravian heritage. We had the history of music in the Moravian religion. It was just connecting the dots and the authenticity.
Correct.
That's what I loved about that. We weren't making something out of thin air.
Yep.
So that got me very excited.
Yeah. And then you become, like we talked about before, kind of head of marketing and that good stuff. And then you're basically handpicked by him to be...
Well, no, there was a national search. So,
but I guess he was basically trying to talk you into it.
Well, when he first hired me, he said, someday I'm going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, would you want this job? I'm like, I haven't even started this job yet. But, the more I saw it, the more I realized the complexity of it. And when they did the national search, I think what meant the most to me was that it was the board that made the decision. Jeff was not involved in that process, but he had given me years to look around and see and understand the importance of the volunteers, the community, why the free stages were important. He really inculcated me with where this sits in Bethlehem and building community.
Yep. Yeah, and with that, in the 40 years of this, there's only been 2 leaders, like 2 presidents.
Yeah, there's one guy I can call when I have a problem.
Right.
Only one person's had it, so I can call him and say, have you heard? And undoubtedly has said, oh yeah. In your insert number, this has happened. So we still have lunch once a month.
That's awesome.
We get together. He is always a shoulder for me and there to offer whatever he can. And I treasure that.
Yeah, and again, good on the organization, good on our community, recognizing, putting a woman in the leadership position. And you're getting tons of accolades. There was an Athena Award and the Above and Beyond Women Award.
Yeah.
So again, I knew you didn't want to probably shine a light on all this, but I think you're
I hate that.
Tough.
I like if I can do that on behalf of the team. Because that is the biggest thing I learned coming up to the ranks of ArtsQuest is right now on the 11th day, there are 80 full-time people, 300 part-time people, and 300 to 400 volunteers a day that are doing what they have to do right now. I'm sitting here with you, Phil. If I don't go back, main stage show is going on tonight.
But
it's
that's
happening.
not, people still are inspired. People are still needing the leadership. The fact that can go on is actually more of a testament to the leadership.
My dad always taught me to hire people smarter than you. So fortunately for me, I got a really low bar.
But
so I met that year one.
Even, like we talked about before, the community wants to see themselves on the stages. You're also providing a massive, encouragement to young women and LGBT, people who are just needing that kind of, inspiration or just, the ability to say, well, I can do that too.
A big part of that, Phil, and I agree with you on all of that. I've followed the mantra of you may be the first, but make sure you're not the last.
Right.
But a big part of that, as I was coming up in my career, were a lot of men who gave me a seat at the table and realized that it's not pie, and that we just have more voices and we're going to be better off for it.
Yes.
So I see the benefits of the broad diversity of our community. The more voices we have at that table, the better we're going to be.
Yeah. I mean, those allies, those people who need to kind of maybe just make sure that the door is open and the seat is there at the table. But it still has to be the right person to take advantage and capture the moment. So
I appreciate that.
Kudos to you and for all the accolades. You deserve all of it. So we'll move on from that now, since I know you.
Thank you. I'm very uncomfortable right now, Phil. Can you please move on?
Yes, but now it's
I'm getting red in the face.
Yes.
Let's go.
So I read something where it seemed like so Musikfest obviously does great things for the organization, but it sounded like $75 million worth of
economic
impact to the area just these 10 days.
Correct.
That's incredible.
For 10 days. And that was part of the mission, besides increasing access to the arts for all, was supporting the city and small businesses. And that's where the community buy-in comes in. If the restaurant's doing well, if the hotel's doing well, if the city's doing well, if whatever small business that you're running here does well, you're going to be behind this.
Yes.
And we get as much satisfaction from that.
Yeah.
And most of the vendors we use at the festival, whether it's for building the main stage or otherwise, they're Pennsylvania vendors.
Yes.
So it's hyper local and regional to create that impact.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I just think it was great to kind of chat about.
Last year, during August and December, the hotel occupancy in Northampton County was the highest in the state.
Wow.
Now, we're not the only event running, so don't get me wrong.
No,
it's not just that.
Yeah.
But to say August and December, when we've got 2 big events going on, and the city markets itself as Christmas City, to see those numbers against Philadelphia and Pittsburgh is
That's awesome.
A little punching above our weight.
Take that.
We like that. We just punch up there.
Right, exactly. No, that's fantastic, and great tip right there. So let's talk about those other festivals that go on. So there's like Oktoberfest.
Yep.
There's Chris Kindle Market. Those are wonderful ones as well. So, like, if you make the trip up for Musikfest, I usually tell people, I'm like, you got to come to Bethlehem twice, minimum.
Right.
One during Musikfest and one not during Musikfest.
Right.
And if it happens to correlate with one of these things like Christkindl Market, it's a wonderful experience. We put the ice rink in this last year.
And it's going to be 40 feet bigger this year.
Oh, wow.
So we're going bigger and longer.
Yeah.
It's going to go past New Year's Day this year.
Oh, okay.
Into next year. So we're going to go, I think, all the way to Martin Luther King weekend.
That's excellent.
So,
Yeah,
that
why
was
not?
a great draw. And,
Right.
well, what we heard from parents who
Right.
said, listen, we were all home during the holidays. That was great. But now all the families are gone. We need to go out.
Right,
so
right,
why'd
right.
you get rid of the ice rink?
Right.
Keep it here.
Yeah. It only
So-
needs cold weather. It doesn't.
It just need, right. So, no, you're absolutely right. Musikfest is sort of the doorway to say, look what's happening here. And if you like Bethlehem at this time,
Yep.
you should come back at any other time of
Yes.
the year. And
Yep,
that's
yep,
Celtic
yep.
Classic, that's Oktoberfest, that's Christkindl Mart, that's all the stuff that the Chamber does in downtown. There's
Yeah.
always something going on in Bethlehem.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, so there's lots of other things there. One other thing you had to navigate, obviously, through these years is, like, a pandemic,
Right.
growing, political tensions, like all these different things that, there seems to be the potential for, any kind of moronic hate in things.
Correct.
And so during Christkindl Market, there was
There was.
It was an unfortunate incident, but you guys responded to it and updated the code of conduct that's
We
expected
did.
for. And I just again applauds all of that because again, it's not easy. That's hard stuff.
It isn't, but that was an opportunity for us. I happen to know the board president from the Jewish Federation when that happened. He reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking lights off of trees when that happened. I didn't even know it.
Right.
He called me to say, here's what happened. And so we got together and made a statement. But what's happened since then is now we're meeting with all these different segments of the community. We met with the Jewish Federation. We're meeting with the Muslim community. We're meeting with Bradbury Sullivan.
Yep.
We're having Pride down at Steel Stacks. We're meeting with the Latino community to learn what is
Yes.
happening in your community that we don't see. So that we can ensure when we have events, whatever it is, Music Fest or otherwise, everyone feels welcome.
Included and safe.
So what happened was we created new relationships. So out of something negative has come stronger relationships. And that's the strength of Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley. And I want to strengthen and emphasize the Lehigh Valley. Bethlehem, absolutely.
Sure.
But it's broader than that.
Absolutely, yeah, no, and I think that's the thing is like, there needs to be like that trust and the understanding that it is a safe space for everyone.
Right.
And until there's either outreach or intentionality or proof that that does exist, that barrier is never going to get crossed.
What I certainly felt this year at Music Fest, even last year at 21, there was, or 22, there was still a little like, is COVID around? Is it okay to go out?
Sure.
This year, I felt almost a backlash filled to, we are very divided right now. Everything, I don't care what your topic is, baseball, hamburgers.
Yes, right.
There is a division on a topic, but this year I
Yeah.
felt before the festival, can we pause for 10 or 11 days
Right.
and just see where we are our best
Yep.
and enjoy that? And that's been humbling to see.
Yes, I completely agree. It's kind of like the Twitterification of just human interaction. It turned people into like the instantaneous, you're wrong and I'm right.
Right.
When all it is most of the time either we didn't even need to go there at all.
We didn't, because when you make a X or whatever you call it today,
Yeah, right.
you and I aren't standing face to face. It's very different when we're standing face to face.
Yep.
What you're going to say and
Yes.
do with me and me with you.
People can be as brave as they want on there, but
Email tigers, I call them.
That's exactly right.
Email tigers. But when you're face to face and you're experiencing the same thing,
Yes.
you find your commonalities more than
Yes.
your differences. And, man,
And then
we
music
need
has that
now.
way of also just leveling things down to the fact of let's not forget, first and foremost, we're all just human beings.
Right? We're all just waking up, putting our pants on, one leg at a time.
Yep, and we deserve respect, and we deserve safety, and we deserve all
We
this
do.
other
We
stuff.
do all
so,
those things.
So yeah, I just think that there's been part of the challenge of an organization that tries to do these massively impactful events is it comes with some other stuff.
It does, because someone's going to be upset with whatever you put on.
Right.
And so our whole philosophy with that is make sure that the entire spectrum is represented. So if one sector doesn't like this, we can point to this and
Right.
point to that.
Yep.
And our hope is by taking the high road, at some point you will see there is more to bringing us together
Yep.
than keeping us apart.
Absolutely. And so I would say I had always touted for people, I was like, hey, come anytime you want, even though it's 10 days long. Day 10 is just as clean and just as safe as any other. I don't know how you guys do it, but it's
Well,
like I expected it to look like Bourbon Street by the end of the day. The first time I came down,
you can thank the city for that when you talk about clean and safe.
Yeah.
So it's what happens after 11 o'clock on the south side when things close and the city comes out and cleans the streets. The law enforcement agencies we have from city to county to state to federal, they all come out and they are spectacular.
Yeah.
So we could not do that ourselves.
Yep.
They have decided this is an important thing to do, and they've put all their weight behind it. And by the way, the mayor just had a baby boy.
That's right.
Leo.
That's right.
August 11th, so Leo's here and now forever a Musikfest baby.
There you go. That's amazing.
Right?
That's great. But yeah, no. To anybody who has not yet been down, very safe, very clean.
Very safe, very clean.
I don't. Again, there's tons of porta potties. I don't know how they all stay looking as good
We
as they
clean
do.
them twice a day. Wow. We have 500 garbage cans at Musikfest.
Yeah. There's
PPL,
recycle bins. There's garbage
Yep.
cans. You pretty much
PPL,
could look in any direction. And
they help with the recyclable energy. Like we are looking at, and by the way, the mug
yes,
has been saving plastic cups for
that's
40
exactly
years.
right. That's right. Yeah, we talked about it. So back, we did our first annual or inaugural, whatever the right term is.
Right.
We did like an Earth Day show called.
Right.
We chatted about it a little bit. The No Planet B Jamboree, and when we brought on the organizations Reverb.org and Music Declares Emergency, they were talking about like some of the most important things you could do is use reusable,
Right.
like either for water or whatever. And I'm like, well, heck, think about all the trash this festival has saved over the last 40
We'd love
years.
to take credit for that. That was, as my dad would say, the harder you try, the luckier you are.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So we happened to come up with that a long time ago, but it is displacing
amount of trash
hundreds
that
of
that has
thousands
saved,
of
yeah.
plastic cups.
Absolutely.
And we just sold out of the mugs for this year.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was exciting.
That is so cool. I loved the 40th anniversary design.
Wasn't
I mean,
it?
I love the other one too.
Southside
but like,
Family.
Yep.
Did the whole design. The
That's
kids
so
got
cool.
involved, and we give every artist one direction every year. Interpret the festival in your eyes, and that's it.
And that's it.
That's what you see in the poster.
That's fantastic.
What is a festival in your eyes?
Yeah. I had a mug design. You could never do it, but I just thought it was funny because there, like any good music town, you have your share of weird.
Well, yeah.
Like
I hope so.
Austin, like they have a whole
hope
phrase
so.
around
Yeah.
it. So like there's that guy with that parrot on his shoulder that
Yes.
walks around,
Yeah.
and even just Igor and the Red
see him
Elvis
every year.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I was thinking like the coolest mug design would be like all of this Musikfest Weird, like spread throughout it. Because there was a new entry this year. Did you hear about the Musikfest bunny? There's a person walking around with a bunny on a leash, like as if it's a dog. So it's hopping around town on a leash. This fuzzy bunny.
You know, animals are not allowed at the festival, so I will not condone this, but I would love to see this bunny on a leash.
And it's this giant fluffy thing, and it even like seems like it listens to them. and yeah, so there's new Musikfest Weird this year.
I love the Musikfest Weird. You're kind of coming up with an idea of
Yeah.
how do we do a poster some year of
Of all of the aspects of it,
All
including the
the-
bands too.
like the public
there's some
getting
very,
involved in that.
Some very iconic bands. There's the Chicken Lady that used to be there for the
Pat.
stuff. Yeah.
Pat kicks off Musikfest. If I don't see Pat, we used to take a picture the day before Musikfest.
Yeah.
If I don't see her, I get like the shakes. So she showed up this year. She's also a 40-year volunteer.
Oh, that's such a great.
If I don't see her, I'm losing it. But yes, Chicken Lady.
Yes. So I
The
just mean,
star, the owl, the mug, the
yes, all of it. Like just
All
get
of
it
it.
on there as like some sort of a big homage to
Mashup.
the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah, we're on to something. But that would have been my thing. Like even maybe do like rest in peace Volksplots. Like you're just all these different things. Like
Wait on that.
okay, breaking news. But we won't say anything. So I just kind of wanted to wrap with I normally ask a band, hey, promote what's coming up. If you don't mind, an update on the new Banana Factory, the Turn and Grind, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
new Banana Factory is going to break ground in Q1 of 25. So we're
Okay.
doing a great job with the fundraising there. We're
Yep.
almost done. Should be done by the end of the year.
Yep.
And then that'll take about 14 months to get done. Boyle Construction has done a great job.
they do great things.
Yep, MKSD and Todd Chambers has done great. Turn and Grind, we're about halfway done with the fundraising there. We're going to look to a less traditional capital campaign to get that raised. So
Got it.
all effort is on the new cultural center. Those 6 buildings are falling apart right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are, it's got $1.5 million in deferred maintenance. It's got $5 million just to bring it up to code.
Wow.
So we got to get that done now.
Mm-hmm.
Turn and Grind is right now storage, but if I could raise the rest of that money tomorrow, we've got 300 days of programming that would go in there right now.
Right, I know, and it would
Including
become this great
Musikfest,
Yeah,
yep.
it would be great for
It's
headlining
ArtsQuest
stage.
2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Those two buildings are ArtsQuest 2.0.
That is so cool.
We're excited.
So definitely keep your eyes and ears out for that. And if you want to make, again, donations or
ArtsQuest.org, we would appreciate that. Every dollar counts.
Yeah, and let me take one moment to promote even just membership. Like, it's worth the membership just for Musikfest Week.
Yep.
You get this parking pass, depending on
bathrooms.
Parking and bathrooms. There's a shorter line at one on the bar.
Yeah, and also at the main stage.
Yeah, that doesn't
Special
suck.
Stage. Yeah.
You get discounts on the merch, but like that to me, just for those 10 days of the parking and the bathrooms is outstanding. But then the rest of the year, there's good parking for getting down to the ArtsQuest building. There's the other thing that's been amazing is the early access to buy tickets
for every show.
Yeah.
And that's just not Musikfest. That's the cafe.
Correct.
That's the number. It's all of our festivals. Yep. And we've got 2,500 members.
Yep.
They are spectacular. So, yes, we're always looking for that. Helps us to do all of the programming, whether it's education or otherwise, you don't see in the news.
Yeah.
That doesn't take up all the headlines.
Yep.
This is the behind-the-scenes impact, whether it's with BASD or otherwise,
yep.
that helps us really make a dramatic difference. So membership is an enormous resource for us.
Yep. No, I think, again, like, if any band means something to you, buy their merch. That's only going to help them support to create their stuff. If any nonprofit means something to you, either become a member or make an annual donation.
And that's Musikfest, that's Celtic Classic, that's Garlic Fest. Like, go to those events in the Valley.
Yep.
Support them.
Yep. But the membership type stuff is just something where, like you were just saying, it just lets you know how much funding you have at a bare minimum that allows you then to maybe take risk. That would then just
It's all risk capital.
Right.
So when we do a new program, like the ice skating rink, which was a huge outlay, you don't know what you're going to make on that. So membership helps us do something new every single year.
Do some cool stuff. Yeah. Yep. So again, I always promote ArtsQuest and Godfrey Daniels. Like if you have, and again, it's, I don't know, $100, $200, $300, like the lowest tier is not that big a deal annually.
There is no lowest tier.
Well, that's
There's
a good point.
Meaningful investment. Whatever you do means a lot.
True, very true. But getting some of those perks started a very, I would think, reasonable number.
What I love is that in Bethlehem you have Godfrey Daniels where you can sit and like there's 30 people there seeing the most intimate performance. And then you can go to the Wind Creek Steel Stage and you see Maren Morris, and we have every stage in between. And that is a testament to the vibrancy of the city. And while I like to think ArtsQuest and Musikfest helps to push that a lot, you have a lot behind that with the Bach Choir and others that is truly history making right here in Bethlehem.
Totally true. And obviously, everyone takes a collective breath after today, maybe naps a lot.
We're
and
depressed.
There's probably absolutely this post-fest depression.
I'm totally depressed tomorrow.
But I imagine you're probably, if not already working on next year's, it probably starts relatively
we've got
quickly.
about 20 offers out for the main stage next year already. So, and then we ask all volunteers and members and staff to submit ideas as they go through the festival. So we've got a running list right now.
You got a debrief from
right. We'll do that.
And you mentioned it before, and I can certainly support it. You guys take that feedback from just the community.
Anyone.
Yeah. So the email addresses are on the website.
Correct.
ArtsQuest.org, or even just through social media, like you talked about. You guys do take that all in.
All that, and
you don't.
That's where the best ideas come from. I always tell first-year employees that are working with us, you have new eyes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've been there too long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm looking at something different, but you're coming in and seeing things in a way I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Capture that.
Yep.
Say it because it's going to make a difference. That's where the inclusion zone came from.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of ideas have come from.
Yeah.
So
which definitely is making a big difference. And I know you have that organization here watching the festival to give you consulting for what to do better next year for accessibility and inclusion of
and we launched Vision Plus this year, which was a worldwide premiere for a streaming service for the deaf community, and to have them here for 2 days, that's another community that had someone from the outside not come to us and said, you should do this.
Right.
We wouldn't have known that, and that's the beauty of the festival. The community owns this.
Yeah, totally true. Cassie, thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by and for chatting about everything.
This is fantastic. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. David.
Philip.
I find it happened just there. It was so enjoyable talking with her. At times I forgot I was recording on last, when I was actually doing it. And it happened just now. I forgot to bring us back on the show because I was just enjoying listening to her.
She has a lot of great things to say. Cassie's very approachable. She's always around the festival. She's always
Mhm.
around ArtsQuest. So if you're someone that's in Bethlehem for one of these concerts, ArtsQuest, the other thing she's talking about the festivals, but if you're here for a show, just in a single store and you see her, she's extremely approachable. She's
totally.
super laid back. She always seems, at least to me, to want to make time for those moments. Now, it's a tough job. She's got a lot to juggle, and they run, they're not a 9-to-5 position as
No, certainly
the
not that
concerts
week.
run late tonight, if you
Yeah.
will. So, she's around for those things, though.
And the other thing I wish, like, we were pretty tiny when the John Worthy solo was going on. The absolutely pure joy and genuine response that she had.
Face, yeah.
She did tear up. Like, there was not a joke. Like, she was like, I have the chills and I'm crying. And it's like, over that, like, just absolute, like, happiness that she had for this performer and the others like that have this chance to go do that, and that the community comes and supports it so strongly.
Well, right,
You just
and then
I
it
mean, it was
happened in this unique festival environment that
correct.
we're able to create and support.
Yeah, and so it just meant so much to her to kind of just see that. It's probably something that, because they're so busy, she doesn't always get a chance to capture those moments.
No.
So I was just glad that we were able to kind of provide that for her, and then capture it ourselves. So I thought that was very cool.
It's worth noting. It's remarkable that she made the time to come talk to you
100%
on the last day of the festival. That was great that was available. I think there's a real insight. She's really honest about how she feels about things.
Mhm.
She really supports your team, which I always love to hear that from the people that sort of are the person that's at the top and seems to get the attention, that she turns it right back around. And It's like, I'm only a mirror that's reflecting back everything else that all of these people do.
Yeah. So what else did we learn?
We learned that there is a huge economic impact to the power of Musikfest. Even though it's a free festival, the money that it brings into the community is a real deal. Yeah.
I was amazed at learning about that, the Zinsenplatz stage. Like, they've never been, and I get they can't always put a female-fronted performer on that stage.
Sure.
So they don't want it to be so branded in that way that someone who is a male performer would somehow feel like they're not on the right spot. But it was so cool to learn that. And then I was like, wait. And I went back and I looked at all the people I had seen on Zinsenplatz, and it was people like Dirty Dollhouse, Pepperwine.
Emily Drinker. I saw Emily Drinker play. Yeah,
Rachel Anna Dobkin. Even Angela Purley, who was playing in the background as she's telling the story. She was on that stage too. So, like, it was like, in retrospect, I was like, oh, wait. Yeah, it just didn't dawn on me. And I think that's a very cool way to honor that. I just hope that maybe we make it a little bit more known that that's what it's trying to do.
Well, it's a nice honor, and I sent you a text message when that part of the interview rolled by, but it's also a little bit of a deep dive into Bethlehem's history. So it's also a nod to where we are at the same time, which is like the fact that you can hit both of those things at the same time is lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Musikfest Weird. We got new Musikfest Weird this year.
Look, there's got to be a new one every year. There's only so much that can be held within that weird, but then the weird somehow gets bigger.
But I guess I don't want to talk about it in that way, like where it gets forced. Like, this person,
I don't mean forced. I
Yeah.
was literally trying to make a joke about the weird factor.
But yeah, fuzzy bunny on a leash.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? At this point in time, like, the parrot guy was there, and now the bunny.
It is pretty amazing to think about all the stuff that's there. And through the years, like, there's stuff that we missed, that other people could help us with if we do try to go down that path of building
40
the poster.
years is a whole lot of history to try and pack into something like that. So
right, and I do think a map type way of laying it out, and then where people kind of popped up at different things. I just think
it could be a timeline. It could be just a
true
wacky weird map. Who knows? It's like one of those maps you get at a diner that has like the over exaggerated scale of like road map thing or landmark things on it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Phil. Let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you've sincerely enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Kassie Hilgert for joining us during the live streams and letting us share the highlights of that with you today. And to ArtsQuest and Musikfest for a great 10 plus day 0, 11 days of a wonderful time. And thank you to Bobby Martrich for making sure the weather was great every day. But we have a couple more highlight shows here for you. We're going to split up the rest of the daily live stream content and put that out as a part 1 and a part 2. And then, like we said, we're going to do a live show on Labor Day Monday where we're going to share our picks, basically the best of the fest. And we'll kind of talk that through and want to hear from you all. What were your best of the fest moments? So you can share that with us ahead of time or during the show or whatever you'd like. One last thing I kind of wanted to share. You heard at the end of the interview there with Kassie, we're talking about financial support and membership and donations. One thing I always try and encourage is whatever the festival is worth to you. If you went down, 1 or 2 days and you thought it was a $20 festival, then maybe donate $20 or $40. If it was more meaningful to you and maybe it's like, wow, that was worth this much, then look at the membership levels, because again, you're only going to get beneficial perks from that anyway. They are quite valuable, especially during the festival, but then year round. Just things like parking and bathrooms and stuff that just make it even that much more enjoyable. So consider that, and we will see you at a live show soon.